Alrighty, good morning. Hope you're very well and welcome to our transmission this morning. It is Monday the excuse me, Monday the 21st of August, and once again we're here at the 7:30 Mentorship Academy call. And if you're joining us for the first time, thank you for being part of these calls. We've been running these calls as a team since 3 years ago now, so 3 years and counting. We're very proud of our record. This is gonna be the, I don't know, 600 and something show. No idea. I should do a count on it. But either way, we're so proud that we've reached such milestones. Now, I am not alone. I run with a group of very accomplished leaders and trainers. On Mondays, it's myself with Unleashing Your Destiny. Then on Tuesdays, we have Madam Sylvia Mwansa, better and fondly known as Sunshine. Here on this calls, she does what she calls the Mindset Change Program. And then on Wednesday, we have what we call an open market. So it's an open market, and any one of us does share different things. We also open it up for those who want to actually share through paid platforms. So we have a fairly good reach. Our reach is above 100,000 people monthly, so we're very proud of that reach, and so we always open it up for you to be able to advertise on our platform. Thursdays, we have Dr. Nelly with Prosperity for Your Soul. She comes with some very deep insights that border between the spiritual and, of course, the physical. Very, very good content. And Fridays, with Healthy Tips with Dr. Jacqueline Mulundika. So that's every Friday. So those of you that have been asking me for a long time, Rev, I need some mentoring, especially in business. This is the space to be on. So this is free. We don't charge you anything to be here, but we do offer very specialized training, which you can take advantage of whenever it is you want to be part of what we're doing. So we run those trainings on a regular basis. I have my own training, and as we continue, you will see something scrolling at the bottom, and it will help you to be able, in fact, there it is, it's now scrolling. Go there, there's the numbers. We've got Unleashing Your Destiny, we've got Financial Intel 101 as part of the coaching programs at a fee, of course. We also have different consultancy that you can, lock into. There's the number, that's a WhatsApp line. You can message anytime, and I will be available to get in touch. Now, you who are watching on YouTube, I admonish you right this very minute, please like the video, comment in the sections below on what we'll be speaking on today, but more importantly, subscribe to the channel. Remember, I need to reach some very high numbers in order to get this message out there. We do post very, very powerful things. As Rev Walter, I have the 7:30 Mentorship Academy call, which is my sober side here. We focus on business and general life, improvement stuff. And then I've got my own more radical stuff, which is the Rev's Rant. On that platform, I tend to go a bit off the chart. So over there is where I really tend to be more, controversial, if you like. But here, it's all sane, it's all business, it's all stuff relating to life and progress. So remember to subscribe. This very minute, I am now asking you, as you view this, please, if you've not yet subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel and select whether you can then choose the notifications bell to be notified of every video. If you pick the all, or if you pick select videos, you'll be able to be selectively done. And these we do every work day except for holidays. So right now, the month of August, month of September, there are no holidays, as I know, so we will be here every single day, Monday to Friday. If you don't see us on the platform, it means we have obviously asked somebody to stand in on our behalf. So there you have it. So that's what we do Monday to Friday. Now, today I'm looking at the topic 8 types of intelligences, harnessing the difference between excellence and mediocrity. So this is going to be the first of a number of parts which will be running on this particular exciting topic, and it's very, very deep, very, very powerful, and I know many of you will be deeply blessed. And by the way, those of you who can, remember to post your comments or ask your questions. I do respond. Even if I'm not able to respond directly on the call, we will certainly be able to do so on later. So I'll come through later and be able to post comments and participate with you. So we're looking at types of intelligences. One of the things or travesties of modern, well, it's not even modern, but this education system, especially for us here in Africa, is the fact that we're all kind of gauged on the same lens. And what this has done is it has been a challenge for many individuals that are differently blessed. And so you find that we are endowed with different gifts, and these gifts have suffered because we've been tested using different models that focus on other kind of intelligences. So today, straight out of psychology, we're going to be looking at these types of intelligences, and perhaps this will help a number of you that are following this by way of this transmission to realize that you're not really the dunderhead they claim you are. You know, everybody will have a term that they'll place on somebody just because you're not computing. I think it was Einstein who said, if you're going to judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, then you think it's a really useless animal or useless organism. So a fish isn't able to climb a tree because it's not designed to climb a tree. So that in itself is a big telltale when it comes to our entire education system and the capacity to determine intelligence. So anyway, did you know that we have different types of intelligence? And not only are they incredibly different, they are also expressed according to which hemisphere of the brain one is dominant. That's very, very interesting. So one of the greatest setbacks as a country here in Zambia, but I know many watch beyond Zambia, but here in Zambia, when it comes to education, is that our aptitude is determined using methods that favor people who are predominantly left-brained as opposed to right-brained. Okay, it is an indisputable fact that the brain and which hemisphere is dominant determine the natural inclination of the subject when it comes to ability to excel in any given discipline. Now, the left hemisphere of the brain is typically associated with language, logic, and analytical thinking. It controls the right side of the body and receives sensory information from the right side as well. And some of the specific functions associated with the left hemisphere of the brain include, listen to this, language processing, including understanding and producing speech, reading, and writing. It is also referred to as the logical side of the brain, as it is responsible for analytical thinking, reasoning, and problem solving. It also handles processing and analyzing numerical and scientific information, as well as being suited for processing information in a sequential and orderly manner, such as following a set of instructions or steps. So that's so critical. And what have I been speaking about? The left side of the brain, okay? It's important to note that while the left hemisphere tends to be more dominant in language and analytical thinking, the right hemisphere of the brain also plays an important role in cognition, creativity, and emotional processing. So the two hemispheres actually work together in complex ways to enable us to perceive and interact with the world around us. So I think that in itself is such a big telltale when it comes to the mind, the brain, and its ability to process and understand what's going on. And I think this is so important for many of you that are tuned in and listening, because you need to understand that there is such a big differentiator when it comes to this whole idea of processing. Now, the right side of the brain, the right hemisphere, is associated with, listen to this, creativity, intuition, emotion. So emotions are on the right side, huh? And spatial awareness. Spatial means just literally your awareness of the environment around you. It controls the left side of the body and receives sensory information from the left side as well. And these include creativity, and as such, this hemisphere is often referred to as the creative side of the brain. So the right side is the creative side, the left side is the logical side, okay? It is involved in creative thinking, imagination, and artistic ability. It is also responsible for processing visual and spatial information, such as recognizing faces, interpreting maps and charts, and understanding relationships between objects in space. So the right side of the brain is what determines the distance of a ball when it's coming towards you, you see? So analytical people are not very good at that. Let's just go on. It also deals with intuition and emotions, helping in processing and interpreting non-verbal cues, including facial expressions, tone of voice, and body language. It also plays a role in emotional processing, including empathy and intuition, holistic processing of information in a holistic and global manner, such as recognizing patterns, in making connections between seemingly unrelated pieces of information, and also controls the left side of the body, including movement and sensation. Very interesting, huh? So again, Though the left hemisphere tends to be more dominant in language and analytical thinking, the right hemisphere plays an important role in cognition, creativity, and emotional processing. So, as said before, the two hemispheres work together in complex ways to bring about this powerful, overall assessing and processing of all information that comes through the different gateways. Mainly for us, the gateways are the eyes, the ears, and of course, smell, nose, mouth, which is taste, and feeling. But the biggest senses are the eyes and the ears. Okay. Now, as can be seen, intelligence is biased towards the dominant hemisphere and which one has greater dominance. It is on the basis of this that we're now going to look at the 8 intelligences. So you have to understand that these intelligences are all going to have leanings towards what's stronger. So you will notice that such people who are gifted in these things will have different kinds of abilities and capacities to process different situations according to where they are more leaning or more strengthened. So this is very, very important, because for a lot of people, that ability has not been very understood. And I feel to a large extent that even our education system hasn't been fair in helping to really determine which of these individual, gifts and abilities are better, so to speak. Okay, so that's extremely important when it comes to understanding and assessing these intelligences. So anyway, let's move on. So the 8 types of intelligences as defined by Gardner. So in 1983, a developmental psychologist named Howard Gardner proposed a theory of multiple intelligences in which he posited that there are 8 different types of intelligences that individuals possess to varying degrees. And each of these intelligences is independent of the others. And these intelligences are what determine to what extent an individual would flourish in any given discipline and how much they excel. I know for a fact, especially when you go into psychology, that there's more than these. So these are very general strokes, but I feel in my own understanding that they're very, very powerful when it comes to helping us appreciate and understand the depth of all these individuals and how they operate. So let's look at them. So I'm going to kind of quickly run through all of them, and then we're going to go back and begin to go through each one of them. All right. So the first one is verbal linguistic intelligence. Then the second is logical mathematical intelligence. The third one is visual spatial intelligence. The fourth one is body kinesthetic intelligence. And then the fifth one is musical rhythmic. The sixth one is interpersonal intelligence. The seventh one is intrapersonal intelligence. And then the last one is naturalistic intelligence. So that's an interesting set of intelligences. And when I was doing this topic, I don't know if I said, should I do like parts of them, or should I do just one and just clear everything? I think looking at the time, let's see how far I can go. If I fail, then I know there'll be part 2. So let's begin with the first one in the list, which is verbal linguistic intelligence. Okay, now this type of intelligence, as suggested, deals or is associated with language, including the ability to use words effectively in speaking and writing. Okay, these are typically skilled at writing, public speaking, reading, storytelling, learning languages, journalism, poetry, and teaching. And those of you who follow me and know what I do, know I'm very gifted in this space. When I did my own assessment some couple of years back, as a result of being a neuro-linguistic teacher, so in other words, I sat and learned under master coach Dr. Nelly Kangwa, as well as Dr. Francois van Rensburg. In their NLP classes, I learned that my DNA is communication. So I am intelligent in the verbal linguistic space. So when it comes to speaking, when it comes to writing, when it comes to expressive conversation, I am dexterous in that space. Okay, I'm just showing off. But look, the truth is, I do not struggle in this space. It comes to me naturally. Okay, so verbal linguistic intelligence is certainly a space in which I flow. So anybody that is very good in this has this kind of intelligence. So good speakers. This is why, again, I know we tend to think that, oh, wow, what a brilliant guy. I wish I could have that as well. But if it's not in you, it's not in you. If you're not good at speaking, you could learn and get away with the basics, but you will struggle. There are certain people who will never struggle because it comes to them naturally. It means they are naturally and, intrinsically gifted in this space. And so this is what we call verbal linguistic intelligence. For example, if you listen to people like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., or you listen to, Frederick Chiluba, our former president, and a number of people in that space, you realize that these people were extremely gifted speakers. Malcolm X, and Malcolm X, he was a gangster, so he came from the streets, but he made it an extreme measure of his ability to understand, to learn words, to begin to be expressive in use of language as a means and medium of communication. And he did a phenomenal job, because when you listen to guys like him, he just had this great ability to speak extremely well. And that in itself became a huge plus for him. It helped him to progress. So a number of you that are in this space can learn how to utilize this very well. So I'm liking what Terence is saying. He's saying, interesting, that explains how I'm able to code networks but not able to learn Bemba. I think it means Bemba. Yeah, that's true. So you might find that yours is the second one. The second, intelligence I'm about to tackle, which is logical mathematical intelligence. Now listen to this one. This type of intelligence is associated with reasoning and problem solving, including the ability to think logically and to use mathematical concepts. These are skilled in complex problem solving, logic and reasoning, math, science, programming, critical thinking, data analysis, research, and engineering. So you see that? So Terence, you sound like a logical mathematical intelligence person. You have the power and ability to operate very well in that space. So if I got you and tried to get you to learn to speak like I do, it won't work. This is one of the reasons why, without being controversial, I don't want to be, this is the 7:30 call. This is one of the reasons why I don't subscribe to the idea of impartation of anointing, in the sense that you tap into what I have and you become like me. Nah, man, look, the truth of the matter is, first you gotta be intelligently gifted in that space. Then you come and associate with me because you already have it in you. And by associating with me, I become a mentor, you're a mentee. And you learn what I do, you copy what I do, but you perfect it because you're gifted yourself. And so in a way, that's what this is, okay? So there is another good question. Albert Zimba says, evening, Rev, how true is it that people who are genius have poor emotional intelligence? Again, you may find it's because they're not very good at relational what we call interpersonal skills. I'll get to that and I'll show you. So anyway, number 3 is visual spatial intelligence. So before I continue, I will run an ad from our sponsors, and then when we're done with that, you will come back and we continue with the third one. So don't go away, just wait and just check this out, and then we'll be back. Alrighty, so we pick it up and continue with these wonderful comments. So on to number 3, visual spatial intelligence, like I said. Okay, so what is visual spatial intelligence? That is the type of intelligence which is associated with visual and spatial perception, including the ability to visualize and manipulate objects in the mind's eye. These are skilled in visual arts, architecture, interior design, navigation, photography, fashion design, sculpture, and landscaping. So in short, people with this kind of gifting are able to see things in their mind very, very well. They can literally picture an entire design in their mind, and they can literally begin to move in that design and manipulate it without, physically looking at it. And then using that mental picture and projection, bring all that from that space into this space. I think that's just amazing. And so, like we say, we've got architects, we've got people who are skilled in interior design, in visual arts. And visual arts, all of them, painting, drawing, whatever. And they just have this gift and ability. And sculpturing is another big one. You just see this block of whatever, and they're able to turn this block into an amazing sculpture. I think that's an amazing gift, and I definitely know for a fact I don't have that kind of gift. And so these are also good at navigation. Ironically, I'm not bad at navigation. I can read maps extremely well. So I don't know if I have. Well, you know what? I'm not surprised, because I do have a musical gift. I can picture music, I can hear sounds, I can create music in my head. Before I became what you know me today, I was big in the music space. So that was part of who I was. So anyway, so these visual spatial people are very intelligent in that space. And so you want to make sure that you are sensitive to these things and realize this. And by the way, as I go through these giftings, I think it's very important to also look at your own children. A lot of times, because of what school teaches, we like to kind of compartmentalize our children. Why can't you be good at math like your sister? That kind of thing is not kosher at all, because remember, these are children differently abled, differently gifted, differently intelligent. So remember that. So we looked at the 3 so far: visual linguistic, logical mathematical, visual spatial. So let's go to number 4, which is body kinesthetic intelligence. That's a very interesting one. In this day and age, we come at a time when we see that a lot of sports people are picking up. That's where it is, okay? This type of intelligence is associated with physical movement and coordination, including the ability to control one's body and use tools effectively. And these are skilled in sports, dance, acting, martial arts, surgery, fine arts, crafts, and carpentry. So the sports people, this is their gift. So you find that they are already gifted in that area, and sometimes, unfortunately, we try and kind of compartmentalize them and try and get them to operate well in the space of maybe what's that one? Mathematical, logical, or maybe verbal linguistic. But that's not really where they operate from. And so we have to be very careful. And thank God nowadays, I think even in our own country, more and more people, especially parents, are recognizing that a lot of people are gifted in the sports, and the sports are paying off. I can tell you for a fact that in my day, especially in the 80s, if you were a sports person, then you were looked down on. If you said you want to play football, they looked at you funny, because they didn't think that there was anything powerful there. So they would want you to be more in academics, and I agree. Academics are very solid, because you need the certificate for the purposes of whatever it is you're trying to do, especially the whole job gig. I hate that, but who knows. But you find that the sport thing is brilliant as well. And for many times, if the sports people can just be taught how to invest well, many of them make more than enough money to set them up for life. I mean, think of our current footballers like Patson Daka, or who's the other guy? The name is gone. These guys have really gone on to make an impact out there. And now we're seeing the likes of Barbara Banda and all these Shipolopolo ladies are going somewhere. And we know for a fact that internationally, people have made immense amounts of money out of these spaces, especially if they get into, the Premier League, setups in the UK and the US and in China and in Europe. So it's just not the same anymore. Sports people can go on to be very financially, successful. The only challenge is that they have a very short lifespan in terms of how long they can be active in sports. And so again, this is where good management, good family ties, wise individuals around these people can help them to invest their money well, so that when their time of sport is done, because sport does have a limit, they can then transition into a very comfortable life without all the pressure of finances. And a number of them, of course, do go on to be coaches as well, and do exceedingly well in the coaching as well. Sometimes some have even done more as coaches than they ever did as footballers. So again, it's a very powerful intelligence, body kinesthetic intelligence, really worth the while. And here's a question by quotes by Albright Treasure. He says, do we have individuals who excel in all this? Yes, we do. Plenty. That's why there are, specific intelligences that are being listed here. And these intelligences are designed to ensure that, a lot of individuals are able to harness these. That's why, for me, these should be part of the careers, development programs in Zambia, so that we know who are gifted in what, and can we encourage them to really excel in that space. Anyway, so that's the fourth one. This gentleman, SI Banda, is saying this space is good. Early morning, given chance to understand human operations. Indeed, that's why we do these. So number 5, musical rhythmic. I like this one because I think I have quite a gifting in this area. This type of intelligence is associated with musical ability, including the ability to understand and create music. And these are skilled in playing musical instruments, singing, composing music, producing music, conducting, music theory, music education, and musical performance. I play keyboards. In fact, at one point, I was an exceptionally good keyboard player. I still am. I just don't do it because I focus more on my linguistic ability, my linguistic talent. That's the one where I've kind of focused. But truth is, I do play music. I'm very cognizant ear-wise to understand music. I read music. I used to sight read, but like any language, if you don't use it, you lose it. So I kind of went to sleep in that area, but I still do fairly decent compositions. Even now, I think I could still do quite a bit. But again, it's a case of recognizing which gift is more prevalent and which one is going to take me further in my given vocation and area where I am right now in my life. I believe I could have pursued the music production space and done pretty decently in that space, but by the design of the Almighty, He drove me down the linguistic space. And so I am a linguist, I am a communicator. So that's where God seems to have really, really focused my gifting and ability. Then we have interpersonal skills. Now, this is where these next two, these are deep. In fact, maybe I may kind of go deeper into them in my next talk. Maybe I might zero in on this, I'm not sure. But anyway, interpersonal intelligence. This type of intelligence is associated with social interactions and communication, including the ability to understand and respond to others' emotions and motivations. Interpersonal intelligence is a huge, huge factor for leadership. I'm going to say that again. Great leaders are powerful at this skill and intelligence. They know how to listen with empathy. They also know how to speak into the hearts of those around them in such a way that they bring out the best in those people. So they've got a lot of empathy. They are very tuned emotionally to hear and see what is not being said. They're very good at picking cues from watching people. Now, some people could even say, well, it's the prophetic. Well, I don't know. But what I know is that for a lot of people who are really gifted in this area, they know how to listen. They are very skilled listeners, and they know how to speak to people and to create a sense of confidence. So they are brilliant social networkers. So a networker, I know all of us should be networking, but some people just aren't comfortable with networking, and so they try and kind of hide in their shells. They are introverts. You will not believe a lot. When I tell a lot of people this thing, they don't believe it. I'm an introvert. How do I know I'm an introvert? Let me give you a little sign that you're an introvert. You are an introvert if you are at absolute perfect peace when you're alone. If when you're alone and you feel so nice, then it means you are an introvert. It means you love your own company. An extrovert is at home when they're around people. So they love the company of people. So that's the difference. Extroverts love the company of people. Introverts love their own company. So extroverts do not like their own company. They always look to be around people. That's when they get energy. Introverts look to be alone, and that's when they get some. But what I did is I learned how to overcome that introversion, because that introversion does not serve me at all when it comes to what I do, my giftings and my work. It would not serve me at all. And so I had to learn how to be extroverted. In other words, how to be good around people. And of course, I definitely must have some great interpersonal skills in myself, because I'm able to relate quite well with a lot of people. A lot of people feel comfortable coming around me. You know, this is the reason why I don't think, again, I'm being a bit controversial here, but I don't think you can force a person that's not interpersonally, that doesn't have good interpersonal skills, to become a pastor that counsels people. They will struggle because they don't feel comfortable, or they're not good at reading people. They don't exude a sense of, what's that word, invitation. They seem closed up, they seem clammed up, they seem locked in. So these people have to deliberately work against their own lack of skill in order to learn to increase their interpersonal skill. The good thing I love about these things is that one can learn and one can actually become better. Now, we're literally at the end of this, so let me hurry up. We should be winding up anytime now. So number 7, interpersonal intelligence. Now, this type of intelligence is associated with self-awareness and self-understanding. I love this one. Including the ability to reflect on one's own thoughts and emotion. This is where emotional intelligence comes in. Somebody asked about emotional intelligence, said, why are a lot of geniuses terrible at emotional intelligence? Not necessarily emotional intelligence. I think they are more terrible at interpersonal intelligence. So they are not very good at communicating with people, so they tend to be locked in themselves and they're introverts. But then people who've got intrapersonal skills learn how to manage their emotions. So whether it's anger, jealousy, whatever emotions tend to get the better of us as individuals, these individuals have learned how to manage them. So they manage them so well that they actually do not have any kind of challenge when it comes to learning how to stay temperamental. So here's Pedro asking, are there people who have more than one of these types of intelligence? Of course, myself being a good example. I'm very good at interpersonal skill. I'm very good at intrapersonal skill. I'm musical rhythmic, and I am visual. Sorry, not visual. What's the other one? Linguistic. So verbal linguistic. So, but the strongest of my gifts, hands down, is verbal linguistic. That's why for me, my DNA is communication. But based on that, there are a number of other intelligences in varying degrees. Some are terrible, like sport, and then some are relatively good, like music rhythmic, but I'm definitely not kinesthetic. So I can dance, but it's not natural. So these are things you need to understand. So interpersonal skill is the ability to control your own emotions, and that's a very important skill when you're a leader, because if you are not gifted in this area, man, you'll struggle. Victor Conde is asking, what's the limit in age for sports? I think for most sports people, 35 is their expiry date, unless you're in a very different kind of sport. But you do have exceptions to the rule. George Foreman won the World Heavyweight Championship at 45. So he broke the record. It's never been done before. So these things tend to be just markers and pointers. I think it was Roger Miller that scored a goal in the World Cup at 42. You know, so it's a 50-50 scenario. I mean, Tom Cruise does some mad stunts in his age at 60. Just watch Mission Impossible. Most of the stunts he does are done by himself. Those are not stunt doubles. So you can imagine. So it really is dependent. Everybody's different and everybody's got their own build. But generally, the age of sport is up to about 30. But certain sports are trickier. So for example, I know for a fact that if you're into what are they called, acrobatics and that stuff, nah, 25, 30, you're done, you're out. Whilst other sports you can go older, but those tend to favor people that are younger. So anyway, number 8, naturalistic intelligence. Naturalistic intelligence, that's a very interesting one. This type of intelligence is associated with understanding of the natural world, including the ability to observe and classify patterns in nature. These are your naturalists, these are your game wardens and people like that. You find those are very gifted in that area. So this, what's his name? Gibson Zulu says, Arnold was a bodybuilder who became successful actor before becoming a successful politician as governor of California. So you see again how sometimes these different gifts can really work to your plus and minus, and it depends on how and what you do. That's why you find there can be different giftings. Smart Augustus Lungu says, can you develop another type of intelligence at an old age like 40? I don't think you develop. I just think you bring out what may have been suppressed before. And this is very common in a lot of cases, because sometimes the environment you're in thinks you're more gifted in one area. And when you go through processes of self-discovery, like what we offer in our classes, then you learn, oh, I'm actually gifted in that area too. So many times people just kind of put it on you and say, you're good at this. Or sometimes your circumstance, you must be here. And because you're very good at performing that area, everybody thinks you're good at that. But in reality, you carry an even more gifted ability elsewhere. So, hi Rev, beautiful presentation. Any write-ups on this topic on YouTube? Bruce Owen here, Mufwanga is asking. Well, we do put these. This is going to be available, and it's going to be available on YouTube as well. We don't do write-ups, but yes, they are available. But if you want the write-ups and a fee, yes, you can get them. So that's what it is. So from myself, I want to thank you all for being part of what we're doing. We run these every day, and tomorrow we're going to be having another presentation by Sunshine Sylvia. She will be speaking about this now. There is Gibson saying, George Ware was a successful footballer who became president. Yes, of course. And then Rachel Modissa says, that's me, I'm an introvert. Makes the two of us. And then Sibanda says, should people with interpersonal intelligence be able to have the ability to offer persuasive speech, or there are two different and independent things here? So yeah, most likely, because again, if you're good at, but you know what, you can be a counselor. Hey, so counselors are good at listening, but they're not necessarily, speakers. So again, that is a very important point. So I want to end here and thank you all for being part of our call this morning. Remember that you can get in touch. We do offer these programs as a paid course. If you want to learn more about yourself, especially self-discovery, send a message on that number scrolling, and you will be able to benefit. And so on that note, I'll answer the rest of the questions later via our platform. So on this note, I want to thank you all. Do not remember, those on YouTube, subscribe. Those interested, follow the number that's scrolling. And those of you that follow these daily, if you're really serious about mentorship, tomorrow we have Aunt Sylvia Sunshine Sylvia on the show speaking on mindset on another very riveting topic. We will share the links later on. So thank you for being part of this, and catch you soon.